Okay, so the Spanish reach Tenochtitlan, they meet the emperor, and the emperor invites them in. Okay, he invites them into the city. And so the Spanish will be staying there, and the emperor will give them a place to stay. But eventually, the Spanish will turn on Moctezuma, the Aztec emperor, and they will take him hostage, right? And so when they take him hostage, he will continue to rule, but he's going to rule under the leadership of the Spanish for a short period of time. Eventually, the emperor will be killed. And again, this is a point of debate. How was he killed? You have some accounts that say that the Spanish killed the emperor Moctezuma after he ruled as a puppet leader for a period of time, that he was strangled by the Spanish. And then there are other accounts that say that Moctezuma was actually stoned to death by the Aztecs after they realized that he was being controlled by the Spanish, right? Because he was weak, and so they stoned him to death. So two different accounts on what happened to Moctezuma. Either way, he does die, and eventually the Spanish are going to have to split into two different groups. One group is going to leave Tenochtitlan because they have to go back to the coast, back to Veracruz, because there are other Spaniards who are coming that are trying to arrest Cortez. Remember, the governor of Cuba, Velasquez, he was still upset with Cortez, right? Because Cortez disobeyed his orders. He was just supposed to go and set up trade relations, but he's trying to conquer. And Velasquez is going to send out a group of Spaniards to arrest Cortez. They're going to land in Veracruz. Cortez hears about this, and so he has to leave Tenochtitlan with some of his men to go and fight these other Spaniards, right? But he's going to leave some of his Spaniards there in Tenochtitlan to try to maintain control of the city. And so this is going to lead to a problem, though, because there in Tenochtitlan, there's going to be a ceremony that is celebrated by the Aztecs, where a bunch of warriors are going to be singing and dancing, and it's going to get pretty intense, right? It's just an intense ceremony. Well, the Spaniards are going to be there during this ceremony, and it's going to freak them out because they think that the Aztecs are going to attack them. And so the Spaniards, because they're scared, are going to close off all of the entrances there into this space where the ceremony is taking place. So they'll block all the doors, and then they're going to start attacking all of the warriors that are participating in this ceremony there in Tenochtitlan. And these warriors don't have any weapons, right? They're involved in a religious ceremony. There's not a bunch of weapons there, but they're singing and they're dancing, and so they weren't expecting to be attacked. And so the Spanish are basically going to block all the exits, and they're going to start killing all these warriors because they're afraid, because the ceremony is going on, and they think that the Aztecs are getting so hyped up that they're going to attack the Spanish. Okay, and so this turns into a massacre there, where a lot of some of the highest ranked warriors are going to be killed. They're just going to be attacking people with their swords and their weapons. Okay, and the Aztecs are defenseless, and so many will be killed there. And so after that massacre, the Aztecs are going to rally together, right? Because there's still, a huge portion of warriors there in the city. They're going to rally together, and then they're going to come after the Spanish. And the Spanish are going to lock themselves up in the palace, and they're going to wait there, and eventually Cortez is going to return. Okay, so Cortez, he goes to the coast, he faces off against those other Spaniards, he defeats them, some of them join him, then he marches all the way back to Tenochtitlan, right? So obviously a period of time has passed. And so the Spanish return back to Tenochtitlan, Cortez does, and he joins with the Spaniards who are already there. And this is, a very dangerous time because the Aztecs are trying to kick the Spanish out or attack them and kill them. And so that night, after Cortez returns, he and the rest of the Spanish are going to try to sneak out of Tenochtitlan because things are getting too dangerous there. After that massacre, the Aztecs want to kill them, right? And so Cortez and his group are going to try to sneak out, and this is what is known as La Noche Triste, okay? The night of tears, or the sad night. And so in this night, while the Spanish are trying to escape, you're going to have the Aztecs find out about it, and they're going to start attacking them. And a large number of the Spanish will be killed, right, as well as some of their allies. Some will be captured and sacrificed later. And so that's why it's known as the Sad Night, because this is sad from the Spanish perspective, right? They're getting kicked out of Tenochtitlan, right? So the Aztecs are able to rally together and push out the Spanish from the capital city. And so after that, Cortez is going to go back to Tlaxcala, where his allies are, and he's going to regroup. He's going to have a fairly large force, even though many were killed during La Noche Triste. But still, he has his Spanish reinforcements, he has his native allies, and he's going to bring this group together. And after a period of time, they're going to go back to Tenochtitlan and engage the Aztecs in warfare. Okay. Now, as they march back to Tenochtitlan, they're going to be carrying some ships with them, right? Basically, what they do is they construct ships while they're there in Tlaxcala, small boats, and that's why I have these boats here, right? And so they basically construct these boats, and then they take them apart again, and they carry them piece by piece back to the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan. The capital, remember, is on a lake, right? It's on an island in a lake. And so the Spaniards are constructing boats while they're in Tlaxcala so that they could use these boats to attack the Aztecs on the lake. Okay, and so the idea is that the Spanish will construct these boats, take them apart, and then carry them piece by piece back to the Aztec capital. Okay, and these are called brigantines. These boats are called brigantines, and the reason why I'm bringing it up is because this is a key part in why the Spanish were successful in attacking the Aztecs. Okay, so the Spanish and their allies, and we're talking about thousands of native allies that are accompanying the Spanish, will make their way back to Tenochtitlan, the Aztec capital. Now, after the Spanish left, there was a breakout of smallpox there in the capital of Tenochtitlan, and a number of Aztecs had caught this disease, and many were sick, many died, and for those who survived, they were very weak. All right, and so there was a number of the population who were not in fighting condition when the Spanish returned with their allies. And so when the Spanish do return, though, the Aztecs will attack them, and there will be warfare on both sides fighting fiercely. And this goes on for a period of time, right? The Aztecs don't just give up. They fight very fiercely for a long period of time there against the Spanish and their allies, and the Spanish will successfully put together their brigantines, their boats, and get onto the lake, Lake Texcoco, and they will be attacking the Aztecs from their boats, right, from the brigantines, and eventually the Spanish will be successful in gaining control of the bridges or causeways that lead to Tenochtitlan. Now, this is very important, right? Because once the Spanish gain control of those bridges or causeways, the Aztecs are not able to import any food or fresh water into the city. So eventually, basically, they're going to fight a war of attrition because they're stuck there on this island and they don't have supplies to fight back against the Spanish. So the Spanish eventually will make their way to Tenochtitlan, and the Aztecs still won't give up, even though they have no food or water and they've been starving for a period of time, and some are still weakened because of the smallpox. They're still going to continue to fight the Spanish and their allies, and that will go on for a period of time. But eventually, the Spanish will force the Aztecs to give up and surrender, and afterwards they will gain control of the capital city there of Tenochtitlan.